In the heart of the city, amidst the hustle and bustle of everyday life, there stood a nondescript building known only as the Midnight Library. Its unassuming facade belied the secrets hidden within its walls, drawing in those seeking knowledge of the occult and the supernatural. Among them was Marcus, a young man with a thirst for forbidden knowledge, whose journey into the depths of the Midnight Library would lead him down a path of terror and despair. It was a cold and rainy night when Marcus first stumbled upon the Midnight Library. The streets were deserted, the only sound the patter of rain against the pavement. Intrigued by the flickering neon sign that read, "Open all night," he pushed open the heavy wooden door and stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of old books and dust, and the dimly lit interior seemed to stretch on for eternity. Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine as he gazed upon rows of ancient tomes lining the shelves, their leather-bound covers adorned with cryptic symbols and sigils. A hunched figure emerged from the shadows, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. "Welcome to the Midnight Library," it rasped, its voice echoing through the silence. "How may I assist you on this dark and stormy night?" Marcus hesitated for a moment, his curiosity warring with his sense of unease. But the lure of forbidden knowledge was too strong to resist, and he soon found himself drawn deeper into the library's depths. The hunched figure led Marcus to a secluded corner of the library, where a dusty tome lay open on a wooden lectern. The pages were yellowed with age, and the ink had faded to a ghostly gray, but the words seemed to pulsate with a life of their own. "This book contains the secrets of the occult," the figure said, its voice barely more than a whisper. "But be warned, knowledge comes at a price." Undeterred, Marcus eagerly flipped through the pages, his eyes scanning the arcane symbols and incantations. He had always been fascinated by the supernatural, but nothing could have prepared him for the horrors that lay within the pages of the Midnight Library. As the hours passed, Marcus lost himself in the forbidden knowledge, unaware of the darkness closing in around him. Shadows danced on the walls, their forms twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes. The air grew heavy with the stench of decay, and Marcus felt a sense of dread settle over him like a suffocating blanket. Suddenly, he was jolted out of his trance by a blood-curdling scream echoing through the library. Panic surged through him as he realized he was not alone. Something sinister lurked within the shadows, waiting to claim its next victim. With a sense of urgency, Marcus slammed shut the book and fled from the library, his heart pounding in his chest. But no matter how fast he ran, the darkness followed close behind, its icy grip tightening with each passing moment. As he burst out into the rain-soaked streets, Marcus glanced back at the Midnight Library one last time, its windows glowing with an otherworldly light. He knew he had narrowly escaped the horrors that lurked within, but the memory of that fateful night would haunt him forever. From that day on, Marcus vowed never to seek knowledge of the occult again. But as he lay awake at night, tormented by nightmares of the Midnight Library, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had awakened within him, a darkness that threatened to consume his very soul. In the heart of the mist-shrouded forests stood Willow Creek Manor, an imposing structure with a history shrouded in mystery and tragedy. It was said that the manor held dark secrets within its walls, secrets that whispered through the shadows and echoed down the corridors. Few dared to venture near it, and those who did often spoke of an inexplicable sense of dread that gripped them as they approached. Legend had it that the manor was cursed by the restless spirits of those who had perished within its confines. The most infamous tale was that of the Willow Creek family, who had once owned the estate. One fateful night, they were said to have been brutally murdered by an unknown assailant, their screams echoing through the halls before falling silent forever. Despite the warnings and the rumors, a group of thrill-seekers decided to spend the night at Willow Creek Manor, eager to uncover the truth behind the stories that had haunted the town for generations. Among them were Sarah, a skeptic who scoffed at the idea of ghosts, and Mark, a believer who was convinced that the spirits of the past still roamed the halls. As they entered the manor, a chill wind seemed to whisper through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. The interior of the manor was as ominous as its exterior, with cobwebs clinging to the walls and the faint scent of decay hanging in the air. They explored the manor, their footsteps echoing through the empty rooms as they searched for any sign of the supernatural. But as the hours passed, they found nothing, and Sarah began to mock Mark for his belief in ghosts. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the darkness, causing them all to jump in fright. Racing towards the source of the sound, they found themselves in a dimly lit room, its walls adorned with faded portraits of the Willow Creek family. As they searched for the cause of the noise, they were startled by the sound of a child's laughter echoing through the room. Frozen in fear, they watched as the portraits seemed to come to life, the eyes of the figures within following their every move. With a scream, Sarah turned to flee, but the door slammed shut before her, trapping them all inside. Panic surged through the group as they desperately tried to escape, but the windows were barred, and the doors refused to budge. In the flickering candlelight, they saw them, the spirits of the Willow Creek family, their faces twisted in agony as they reached out towards them. The air grew thick with the stench of death as the ghosts surrounded them, their mournful wails echoing through the room. As the night wore on, the group huddled together in terror, praying for morning to come and release them from the nightmare that had consumed them. But as the first light of dawn crept through the windows, they knew that they would never escape the horrors of Willow Creek Manor. To this day, the manor stands as a grim reminder of the darkness that lurks within us all, its walls forever haunted by the spirits of the past. And though many have tried to unravel its mysteries, none have ever returned to tell the tale. In the heart of the mist-shrouded woods stood Blackwood Manor, a grand estate with a history stained by tragedy. For generations, tales whispered of strange occurrences within its walls, of eerie apparitions and inexplicable sounds that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to approach. Among the locals, it was said that the spirits of the past residents lingered, trapped in a realm between the living and the dead. One fateful night, a group of thrill-seekers, drawn by the allure of the supernatural, decided to spend the evening in the abandoned manor. They were a diverse group, united by their fascination with the macabre and their desire to uncover the truth behind the legends. As they ventured into the darkness, their flashlights casting long shadows against the decaying walls, a sense of unease settled over them. The air was thick with anticipation, every creak and groan of the old house echoing through the halls like a warning from beyond the grave. They explored room after room, each one seemingly frozen in time, filled with antique furniture and faded portraits staring down with hollow eyes. But as they delved deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, they began to feel as though they were being watched, a sensation that sent chills racing down their spines. It was in the dimly lit parlor that they first encountered the presence that dwelled within Blackwood Manor. A flickering candle cast dancing shadows across the walls as they gathered around a dusty Ouija board, their fingers trembling with anticipation. At first, the planchette moved slowly, spelling out cryptic messages that sent shivers down their spines. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, and the messages became more sinister, as if the spirits were growing stronger with each passing moment. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candle and plunging them into darkness. Panic gripped the group as they fumbled for their flashlights, their hearts pounding in their chests. In the inky blackness, they heard the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls, slow and deliberate, as if whatever lurked in the shadows was drawing closer with each passing moment. With trembling hands, they fumbled for the door, desperate to escape the malevolent presence that lurked within Blackwood Manor. But as they reached for the handle, they found it wouldn't budge, as if some unseen force was holding it shut. Panic turned to terror as they realized they were trapped, at the mercy of whatever dark force inhabited the house. With nowhere left to run, they huddled together in the darkness, praying for morning to come and release them from their nightmare. But as the hours dragged on, their hope began to fade, replaced by a bone-chilling certainty that they would never leave Blackwood Manor alive. Just as they were about to succumb to despair, a faint glimmer of light appeared on the horizon, casting a pale glow through the windows of the old house. With a final burst of strength, they threw themselves against the door, breaking free from its grip and stumbling out into the dawn. As they fled into the safety of the surrounding woods, they dared not look back, for fear of what horrors still lurked within the shadows of Blackwood Manor. To this day, the events of that night remain shrouded in mystery, a cautionary tale whispered among the locals as a reminder of the dangers that lie hidden in the darkness, waiting to claim those foolish enough to seek them out. This is our story today. If you liked the story, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. We will meet tomorrow, God willing, in a new story.